2, 3. All right, we're live. You are live. All right, so hi everybody. Welcome to the special edition episode of celebrating the brand ambassador. I am so excited to have back with me Lacey Hawkins, the brand ambassador from Monkey 47, and Nicola Alanis from Net Branca, the global brand ambassador, and so much more. We wanted to have a special episode because Nicola last time, because of the storm happening in Italy, his internet got shut down, and we've all been there, so we totally understand that. And he had so much more to talk about. And Lacey also has so much more to talk about when it comes to closing a deal and things of that nature. And I just thought there was 3 really important parts that I wanted to just focus on this time. And I guess we're going to start, for those of you, this is what I've also learned, just because between all 3 of us, even though I scheduled this for 2 on Facebook Live, it says 2:15. So I always wonder why people come in a little bit later, but we'll start talking, and I know people will see it and start happening. So lessons learned on the wild world of Facebook and all things. So anyway, all right. So what I wanted to start with, I think first we'll start with on how to support things you found were really good for supporting accounts and ways of kind of building programs with them, being successful. Then we'll go into like talking about how to actually turn a yes into a no, and then talking about supporting getting your team kind of riled up. So Nicola, I'll start with you. As
okay, thanks.
Both of you guys don't have a market per se. Your world or the nation is your market. So how do you create successful programs to support accounts?
Well, first of all, before supporting an account, for me, the most important thing is to support our distributor. Make them feel that the company is present, is behind them, is supporting with, first of all, with the quality of like reassuring on the fact that we are delivering quality for them. So getting connected with the distributor and matching that need on the market is very important. The second step for me with the distributor point of view is to make them understand what is the product and how to market the product. I always say to them that the best way to sell the product is to understand which is the personal relationship with the product himself. Once they understand which is the personal relationship with the product, what the product means to them, this is the way they can actually transfer that to the market.
Now, that's a great point. So you actually get them to connect and say this in your own words, what it means to you.
Yes, exactly. Because I think like most of the time when you work with such companies that have such a big history and so much heritage, is right, you really cannot follow a top-down message and then apply that in every market. You really have to make like a bespoke type of approach for the market and then deliver that. And making sure, of course, I have to make sure that it's very clear in the head, which is the philosophy, which is the values and the pillars of the company. But then everything else from that is their point of view. We know people believe on what, they don't believe in what we do, they believe on why we do it. I always say that. And once you understand your why, you can transfer that why.
No, that is such, and by the way, there's a great book out there, Finding Your Why, and it's really kind of eye-opening. I mean, it's a decent book. But it was one.
Yes, exactly. It is.
It's a decent book. I wouldn't say it's an amazing book.
It's a decent book.
It is a decent book. And I had when I first started working at Anheuser-Busch, that was the first book my manager gave me. I was like, I was figuring out how things work there. And he's like, just handed me the book. And he's like, find your why. And everything else goes from there.
I took them on a part of that is my way of approaching. It's not that I'm not saying this is my philosophy. It's not really that. I'm putting that and I worship that. But I understood there's a good values on that. The other part is, of course, I haven't forgotten the field. I loved going on the field, and I loved going to the field with the distributor, with the people of the distributor, with the sales rep, with the sales people. So being that, having a touch of it and the feel of the field, of course, makes me understand better the field, so I can actually understand on what ground are the distributor working on. Right. And this is working on every level. If you are like a local regional ambassador, going with the salespeople of the distributor really gets you connect to understand and speaking the same language. So I make myself available and present on the field, supporting the salespeople, and also giving like a touch of the company, but never substitute my presence the role of the distributor or the salesperson. Every decision, everything is upon them. It has to go through them. So my way of being present is to, in a way, empower the distributor and the sales rep that everything that the account is getting from Branca is thanks to the distributor. It's passing by the sales rep. This is really important to create this connection. So everybody has his own role. Nobody is overstepping, nobody is overcoming. But the role of the sales rep is not only giving good price, but it's giving you access to knowledge. It's giving you access to whatever the brand, the company is putting on the field for that. So this is my philosophy.
I think that's great because Lacey, I know you touched about this last time when we had this conversation. You mentioned, you present and you look at your key account manager because you want to make sure you're not over presenting what the company can actually do, but the key account manager, and you always make a win a team win. So talk about that when you're going into the field with the key account managers, what you do to support and how you kind of pass it off to the team.
Well, for me, I think that any win in an account is a win for everyone, right? So if you have a bar or restaurant that says, "I love Monkey 47 and I want to put it on the cocktail menu, and I want to do a Monkey 47 happy hour or a party," that's a win for me. That's a win for Monkey 47. That's a win for everyone who kind of has a hand in that bar or restaurant, which also, at that point kind of trickles down to the sales rep who sells products into that account. And what I mentioned in our previous conversation, and I always have to remind myself, is that I love Monkey 47, right? Like I sweat this stuff. I really love it, right? I'm sure Nicola feels the same. I know. I don't even have to ask. I know he feels the same way about Fernet, right? And it's really easy for me to love it. It's easy for me to talk about it, but I may be working with someone who has 4,000 other things that they need to love at the drop of a hat, right? So what can I do in my limited amount of time with that person? Be extremely grateful for the time that they're choosing to spend with me, right? That's one thing.
Very true. Very true.
And arm them with as much information that's like digestible, but also you can easily regurgitate as possible, right? So that they can become like mini versions of me. If I can inspire a sales rep, if I can inspire a bartender, if I can inspire someone who walks into the bar and says, "God, I don't really like martinis, but I really like Monkey 47, so maybe I'll try a Monkey Martini," right? So I think for me, working with sales, and what's great about your conversations, Elaine, is that they always go so far from the original question. It's like it's this beautiful sort of like fractal of a conversation. So I'm sorry if I'm already totally off base, and just repeat the question if you need to. But
this is relevant.
But yeah, so I really try to inspire people, inspire sales reps to share some of the inspiration that hopefully they see in the passion that they see in me, the inspiration they get from me in some of the bars or restaurants that they're into, so that when they do pull out a bottle of Monkey 47, it's not just like, "Taste this, it's good." It's like, "Taste this because it has 47 botanicals and it's made in Germany's Black Forest and it's like 100-liter still," and all these things that are like little sprinkles of facts and inspiration around that product.
I'm gonna pause both of you. So I'm gonna reframe the question. So the question that they both answered was, how do you support your distributor in every market and get them to love your brand and sell it? Which was answered really, really well. That was all. Yeah,
I really like also this thing is like talking the three of us is inspiring for me too, because I can see some points I never thought about it, and I totally agree with Lacey. The thing is that we are like we catalyze information in a way that we actually can summarize whatever is needed for them to be successful, whether it's going to be a bartender, whether it's going to be an account, whether it's going to be sales rep or distributor. We give them the right information for the right moment. So we tell them what to do with the product, when to do it, and how to talk about that. To sales rep, we give them like 5 touching points, whatever the opportunity is. We have the capability, due to the fact that we have experience, to get a clear picture of whoever is in front of us. So to classify also so many information in a useful way. In a way, once they see you as a point of reference, but also they can see you as a tool to work with, the job is done. This is the thing, because we have to generate sellout, we have to do listing, we have to do positioning, we have to do selling. Really like a tough job.
It is a tough job. And I think both of your points is also really so valid in the fact that I was actually having this conversation today with a small brand. Somebody was about to launch. They're launching in New York City, and it was talking about like, how do we get the distributor sales reps who have, as you said, Lacey, 4,000 products to feel inspired about selling my brand. And it's not easy. And I think your points about you both of the things you guys talked about was getting them to Nicola, about getting them to embrace it in their own words and find their own love for the product, and Lacey, giving them how to use it, how to sell it, how to feel the love that you're feeling, and to be a mini ambassador for you.
For me, I think also like, and for me, it's also about saying, what do you need? What do you need to be successful? Because someone who is working on behalf of and selling Monkey 47 in New York City, their needs are going to be totally different than someone selling Monkey 47 in Nashville, Tennessee, right? And so keeping that open conversation where I'm constantly, asking sales reps, asking market managers, asking division managers, what do you need to be successful? And you'll never get it if you don't ask for it. So sometimes the asks are a little wild and you're like, okay, I can't get that, but I can do something a little bit, lower than that. Can we meet in the middle? Right.
Yeah.
And that makes people feel heard. And it also makes them feel like, that they are now working as a team. So I think for me, the first part is knowing that like, I like to, I somewhere between trust and empowerment with my sales reps. It's like, I trust you and I also want to empower you at the same time. I trust that you know your accounts best. I trust that you know your market best. And I also want to empower you to go out and sell Monkey 47 in all of these places that you know it's best. And also I want you to go sell it in somewhere that you don't think you're going to be able to sell it into. Right. So that extra piece. And that for me has been really, A, it's really educational and informative, and B, I'm able to really relate to someone. So, if they say to me like, well, we need POS, like we need cocktail garnishes, or we need specific cocktails. Great, I got you, right? We can do that. So yeah, that's been really helpful to me. It's just kind of asking people like, what do you feel like you need to be successful? What is your market lacking? What really works here? What works in Atlanta in terms of the things that maybe generate sales numbers and meet goals in Atlanta might not be the same thing that works in Detroit, Yeah. So that kind of flexibility there as well.
Yeah.
Like I'm really connecting with you on the successful word. I think is a key word in a way that if you help them to, 10 years ago, it was all about buying volumes and stealing volumes from someone else. And, you learn a big lesson that, there's always somebody that has a better money than you that can still,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, let's let's switch from what is my role here? And I say, be successful. I'm going to be here to help you to generate extra business. I don't want to cannibalize volumes. I want to generate new consumption. This is what I'm here for. Mm-hmm. This is anything that I have to put on the place, on the stake for you, is to generate more business for everybody. So when you actually put like switching this point of view on their head, this is when you switch and you empower them, because are switching from one in the beginning, you taking them to places that you think Ferna Branca or Monkey 47 is suitable, but then they are taking you to places where you want. Do you want them to be with your product? Mm-hmm. So
I think it creates that sustainable and consistent growth,
exactly.
as opposed to those kind of, up and downs in terms of numbers, right? Like, numbers don't mean shit if you don't have something to back it up. If you don't have passion, and if you don't have fervor, and if you don't have excitement, and if you don't, numbers don't mean anything if you don't have the bottles in the recycling bin at the end of the night, right? We can put numbers in every bar and restaurant in the country, but until these bottles are empty, like, forget about it. You're never going to get another number out of it. So that kind of successful, sustainable trajectory for growth,
Very true.
Really valuable. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact, okay, so getting, we're talking about numbers and getting it out and getting it into an account and, selling it in. And this is something you guys have to deal with it on a global level as well as on a national level, Lacey. And this is the problem that every brand ambassador, even myself, I know for a fact, that was the one part. It's like, God, I hate asking for the sale. I really did. I was like, I hate you know, and I had to learn to do it because I realized until I asked the question, you know, I give this lesson, and this is probably my 17th time on the show giving the lesson, but Jim Meehan gave me that lesson hard. I was like, you know, how come you never put any of my brands on the menu? And he's like, you just never asked. And it was like the most obvious hello. And I was like, oh, well, I'm asking now. He's like, great, I'll put it on the menu. I was like, are you shitting me right now? Like all this.
How long ago was that?
Oh my God, that's like so long ago. Like when he was at PDT, it's like PDT was probably 2 or 3 years old, like 2007.
I just feel like, that story you said has really stuck with me, and I just feel like there's so much more nuance now, you know, where I'm like, oh God, I wish it was that cut and dry, that you just you ask big and it's either a yes or a no. Like I wish it was that cut and dry, but I feel like there's so much more nuance now, and I feel like there's also you know, this real give and take, and I think that part of that can really be there's a complete correlation between, you know, that give and take, that nuance, and like how much brands have invested in bartenders over the last you know 10 years, where you know, as someone who you know, I would still consider myself a bartender in many ways and was behind the bar for many years. It's like you started to get a little spoiled. You started to get a little selfish. It started to be like, instead of just the plain out ask, you'd be like, well, what are you gonna do for me? You know, what's in it for me? And so I feel like that there's a lot more of a.
Oh, no, Lacey, let me tell you something.
Like dating.
That was the first conversation, and then after that, I had gotten compared to, well, this brand gave me iPads, and this brand did this, and suddenly I have to whine into
Wild West.
Oh yeah, and suddenly I'm taking people to Le Bernardin for dinner. I'm like, oh, as the industry changed, but it is very nuanced, I think, for New York and certain markets. Like if you go to another market, they're like so happy you showed up and you're doing so. Like it all depends on what market or what city you're in and like what bar they work in. So if you're at the bar that every brand is clamoring to get into, like the Death and Company's, the Dead, whatever. Yeah, of course they're like, yeah, all right. So, but I think for Jim, it was in the early days, and it was also a question. But I also realized it was a great lesson in when you're just visiting accounts. You can go and you can visit, you can support, you can buy the cocktails, you can have the conversation with the bartenders. But if you don't ask the final question, like, when you guys change your menu, when do you bring in new products, like would you consider taking my product? It's probably not going to happen. They're not going to just take it in, because if you're just going there and visiting and they don't have your product and you never ask the question, they're not going to take it in. And some people just do that. They go and they show up and they introduce the brand, they talk about the brand, but they never actually ask, like, hey, would you mind bringing in a couple of bottles? And I think that was, to me, that was more of the point. But yeah, it was definitely a time in the day when everybody wasn't so spoiled.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like different market, different rules, you know, like I end up being in the Nordics, like Norway, Finland, or all the Nordics places. You cannot really do anything with A&P and budget. You cannot invest in bartenders. You cannot invest anything like POS, because you cannot showcase brands, because it's indulging people to drink. All the out there managed by the monopoly. So, you know, and in China is different, and then US is different, then in Spain is different again. So in my case, I try to find like a common way of like putting that in a way that I get that what you're gonna do for me, and I say this is what we've been doing for 175 years, providing you with an amazing product. This is what we're doing. So and take it from that. What we're gonna do more than that? I mean, you already have my brands. You're already doing something. How can I help you to elevate from that to more? Yeah. So everybody has to put something on the stage. And also, I'm approaching the market with so many different products, because I'm go there with Fede Branca, but I'm also Antica Formula, and I'm Punta Mess, and I'm you know, all the brands that I have Branca Menta, I have Stravecchio, I have Caffè Borghetti. So, and each one of those has a role in the bar. Yeah. And the way I'm kind of like 10 years ago, it was easier with vermouth because the market wasn't really supervised. There were like just few, and Antica was doing well. And you know, nowadays that the market is overcrowded by vermouth, so you kind of have to, you know, play different games in every market. And I think it's the same today with gin. It's overcrowded, and so you have to really play your cards properly, because you have to buy to send out, and being the menu is very important. You don't have to be forgotten. So there are many rules, and I think like I wouldn't say that the bartenders are spoiled. We spoil them in a way. In a way that the market was spoiled by a certain approach in the market by companies. Simple as that. My son was not born spoiled. I spoiled him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he's 5, so now I'm taking an effort. I have to do it now before he gets like 18 years old. To educate him now on what are real values, what it matters, and so forth. So it's really like when you work for the company, you're representing a company. We have to always remember that we have a big responsibility here on how the market is going, on how we. If it's like even on distributor point of view or on a sales reps or a bars industry, if all the brands have a common way of approaching the market, we're gonna like in a way allow me that moralize that level, and so we're gonna switch the attention to what I get back or okay what I can do more. So this is like,
but not everybody approaches the same. I mean, Lacey, what are people asking for these days? What can you do for me? That's an interesting question. What is
that's actually a conversation that that I kind of refuse to have, because that to me is that's a spoiled, and I don't mean spoiled like a brat, but I mean spoiled like that's a soured relationship right there. Yeah. For me, that's starting off on the wrong foot.
Agreed.
And so I really think that it's the more I hear Nicola talk about his products and his position, I think that he'll really agree with what I say here, which is that my position when I'm working with a bar or a restaurant is you should be carrying this, and I'm letting you know that if you don't, you're a little bit behind. So like,
exactly.
You're not doing me a favor by carrying Monkey 47. And I would like to see you carry this gin because I think that it would work in many different ways. And you also have the consumer base to pull it through, right? So I'm never going into accounts like looking for a favor or hoping that they're going to do me a favor. It's really kind of like places where I'm like, hey, you should carry this. Like, this is a hidden gem that's about to pop off, and I think you need to have this behind your bar for many reasons. And I think Nicola would really agree with that too. So that really changes my dynamic when I go. You're shaking your head. No, you don't agree.
No, I agree.
I mean, the only favor I ask to a bar is that my martini I have an extra olive. Simple as that. honestly, every time I go in there, because I do accounts, when I travel, I have like 3 types of visit, and I tell to the sales rep, I say, take me to the most important accounts, the one that really carry our products, they love it, the first day. And the second day, take me to those people that don't want our products. Take me to those people, because my job starts when people say no. Otherwise, what I'm here for. Our job starts when people say no. This is what starting working. The rest of it is supporting and representing. Working that I'm doing is like to making the product available, distribution, and getting the product on the right hand, and they know what to do. I totally agree with that. You should carry. My role is here because I spot an opportunity for both of us.
Right.
Because this product is going to give you an opportunity to do this, and this, and this. Because variety is important. Because assortment is important. Because differentiation is important in the industry today.
I think that's a good. Sorry, it's a good attitude to have, because you're not going out there with hand and being like, "Oh, please take this." It's more the attitude. You understand that this. I've looked at your account. This is a good fit for my brand. You should be carrying this. By not carrying this product, you're actually hurting yourself. It's not hurting me. There are a couple. I wouldn't say this to a bar. Like, there's 50 more accounts like you. There are definitely I'm letting you know you're going to do well with this. And
it's a shame if we don't work together. In a way, it's a shame. My product is fitting. Your bar is perfect. This is what we can do together. It's a shame if we don't do it. We miss an opportunity. I recover the opportunity with someone else. You might recover the opportunity with someone else, but it won't be the same.
Lacey, is that what you were saying?
Yeah, I mean, I think.
Well, in better English, of course.
Yeah.
Well, actually, your English is fantastic. Your English is great.
Perfect. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think that every bar and restaurant is different, but also, my goal is not to have a bottle sitting on the back bar. So it's like I'm just sitting there. So that to me is an area where you need to shine a little bit of light. You know, if I'm working with a sales rep in a city and we're going out and we're just sort of like getting lots of placements in bars and restaurants, but I'm saying, okay, well, why was it so easy to just get all these placements? Maybe you should have had these done before I got here. So that the conversation we could have been having was about a menu opportunity, or a conversation was about some sort of a happy hour, or the next sort of leveling up of that. And so that to me is an indication that we're just getting placements just to say we did a great job if it comes off really easy. And so to Nicola's point, it's like, take me to all the places that I've already said no to you, because I will be able to have just a little bit of a different conversation, right? My language, the scope of the conversation is just totally a different set than what a sales rep may be having. And I can also help kind of like diagnose maybe why this bar or restaurant doesn't want to carry Monkey 47. And that to me is not a failure. That to me is we're just like getting closer to the yes. So to go back to your original question, which was kind of like, how do you seal the deal and how do you get the yes? And for me, the way to do that is to constantly be asking questions, so that when I finally do ask something, I know the answer is yes.
Right.
Even if the question I'm asking is, so can I go ahead and get your card so I can email you in a few months? That's going to be a yes question, right? So I'm always leaving a bar or restaurant with a yes, and my foot's still in the door, right? My foot is still in the door for another yes in the future. But maybe the question, maybe I did not ask the question, can you bring in 100,000 cases and put it on every menu in the world, right? I'm asking questions I know I can get a yes from, to constantly kind of build a snowball effect of like yeses, so that eventually, you know, it's the ultimate, you know, we've got your product, we have it on the menu, we're going through it, right? Or maybe we don't have it on the menu, but like, yeah, we're moving through your product, which is great.
Can you give me an example? Sorry, and for Nicola as well, because I'm sure I think you'll be intrigued. What are some of the questions you might ask?
So let's say I have just met a bar and a bar manager in Boston, and they don't carry Monkey 47. They do carry some other gins that would be comparable in terms of, or maybe competitors, right? And I do a tasting with them. I share a bunch of information. I leave them with some resources, but I'm finding that they're keeping all of their cards pretty close to the vest, and they aren't really showing much. They aren't really saying anything. I would say something like, you know, what do you think? What do you think about what you tasted? And based on what they say to me, I'm just going to be like, yes, absolutely. Constantly positive reinforcement. How do some of your other gins sell here? What kind of cocktails do your consumers really like? How often do you put gin cocktails on the menu? When do you switch the menu over? So I'm not asking a specific yes or no question yet, because the thing I'm ending on is a yes. And at this point, I'm just whittling down what that question may be. You know, how many do you guys do happy hour? Oh, let me see your food menu. Oh, I see you guys have some like sashimi on the menu. Sashimi and Monkey 47 go together so well. So I'm just like planting seeds of ideas instead of, can you carry my product? Because that is a dead end. That's just a dead end. They say yes to that, and then it's like, yes, okay, now what are you going to do for me? Right? And I don't want that conversation. I want a partnership. I want them to know that I'm doing things with them, regardless of whether or not they pick up Monkey 47, right? I care about their business, and I care about who's coming in, and I want to see their business succeed. And I also want to see Monkey 47 there, right? So those are kind of some of the questions that I ask. Even things like, oh, how many bartenders do you have? Do you guys do educationals here? What's your educational format like? Would you be interested in having a gin educational? I can do more than just Monkey 47. Let's do the history of gin. Oh, you know, I'm going to be back in town in 3 months, and I'm going to be hosting an event. Can I invite some of your team? So it's all just ways at that point that I'm creating a relationship with somebody, right? So that then if at that point they're still showing me that maybe they haven't really told me what they think about Monkey 47 and they haven't accepted to carry it, but all of a sudden I'm doing an educational for their entire staff. Half of their bar team is coming to an event that I'm throwing. I told them I'm coming back later that night for dinner, and you know, we'll be in touch via email. It's like, that's a win. Like I've cemented some sort of relationship with that account at that point. And for me, it's just a matter of time before Monkey 47 becomes a part of their backboard. Because also the person who I'm standing with, who's brought me into this account, is now going to finish the last, the last yard of that conversation after I leave. So next week they'll come back in and be like, wow, you and Lacey really hit it off. Do you think you want to carry Monkey 47? Why don't you just pick up a bottle and test it out? Tell you what, grab a bottle. I'll come in and I'll buy the bartender some drinks so that they can taste it and see what they think. Right? Just constantly like getting to that. Yes. So that's kind of what
I now want to buy a bottle of Monkey 47. I don't even own a bar.
Me too. But no, what Lacey says is very important. It's like you work on different level. You putting seeds all together. You watering those seeds. You're awake, spotting opportunity. And this is a constant job. It's a constant job. Putting seed, watering, be careful, spotting opportunity, and being awake. On the closing the deal, sometimes, I visit accounts that, for example, I'm working sometimes in a different problem because I'm not working on availability, because Fernet Branca and Branca Menta is mostly available everywhere in the world. We have like 99% of penetration in the market. But sometimes I'm working with depletion, which is harder in a way because they get forgotten, because they don't know what to do. So it's like you have to really work on the fact that you really have something there sitting that can be useful. What I'm doing most of the time is awakening that knowledge, give them example, creating connection. I work on the three level. I'm working always like analyze the bar in a way that I work on the AVA approach, is availability, visibility, activation. So I'm always, for my brands, I'm always seeing which level they are, and I'm working on each one of them. So for example, like I remember on closing a deal, for me, it's the most emblematic way that I had maybe 8 years ago. I was in Macau, and in Macau, there was the headquarters of the Mandarin Oriental, global. So I had to talk with a buyer of the global Mandarin Oriental. So, something amazing on Mandarin Oriental chain is the fact that if you list a cocktail on one Mandarin Oriental, automatically it's in all the Mandarin Oriental global. Wow. So this is, and I was there, I was doing a pitch for Antica Formula. So I just took my ferry from Hong Kong to Macau with my bottle of Antica Formula. I met this German guy, and it was emblematic because, I met him. It was a nice, sweet guy. We start talking, whatever, small talk as usual. And then I said, okay, this is Antica Formula. Shall we try? He tried, he knows, he likes it, it's fantastic. Say, okay, what do you drink? He said, well, I drink Negroni. Fantastic. Ask your bartender to make a Negroni. This usual Negroni that he makes for you. Okay, and then take Antica Formula and make a Negroni with Antica Formula. Okay, so he tried his Negroni. He said, okay, it's fantastic. I love it. It's my Negroni, blah, blah, blah. And then he tried the Negroni with Antica Formula, and I saw it on his eyes. The fact that I opened it, he said, oh, geez, I never tried Negroni in my life before. He loves it. So we started talking. I was happy. We closed the deal. But then he said, but and when people in the deal, they start saying, it means you're not closing the deal. You're desperate, I said, okay, what's going on here? He said, well, it's more expensive. It costs 4 times more, blah, blah, blah. And people always ask for the Negroni. They don't know what is inside. And that for me, that was the right moment. I say, yes, they don't know, but you know. How many things, how many choices you do for your customer every day on every aspect of your business, they don't know. But because of their choices, they come back.
Very nice, very nice.
This is the thing. Once you empower people and you make them realize what's the role of the job, what are they doing for the customer every day? Is they're doing for a reason, because they're delivering quality. Make them feel that you are the same path. We're on the same business here. We're on the same exactly business. How many choices we make that our customers don't see, but we know. And for those choices, they come back.
No, that is a great point, because it's so true in a restaurant or bar. If you're in the right place, they made so many decisions about the gin or the vermouth or the garnish or the glass and everything else.
Music, table, chairs, lights, whatever.
Everything to enhance your experience.
Yes, the construction.
Yeah.
We know that the winning situation is not one killer idea, but is the construction of all those bricks on the right place all together that brings that experience to be replicable by the customer. And make them come back.
I think that's really, really a great point.
And closing a deal, I agree, the yes thing is very powerful. And I use it all the time. It's like if you make a customer to say yes for 20 times, with your questions, of course, the 21st question is going to be, you want my product, is going to say yes. There's a 95% chance he's so used to say yes to you. I call him the boxer strategy. So it's like you actually put yourself in the center of the ring and the customer is on the corner and you are making like dancing with them with the yes. But this is what you have to do. In a way, you are there for the reason, but not because we represent a brand like that make us stay there in that premise once they buy it. Let me explain. I mean, they buy your product and you can come back in their bar because you know they will be happy to have that product because this is good quality and it's good for them. So this is such a big opportunity for people like us to be able to open the bottle of our product in front of the customer and stay there and be able to come back the day after and they see the face, they're happy because they make the right solution, the right decision.
No, I think, and also that it's not even that, but you brought in something that your job is not only just sealing deals, but it is literally to get, your product is there. Your product is everywhere, right? It's in a lot of the bars, but it's getting them to remember that it's there sometimes and to start utilizing, so it's not sitting there collecting dust. So I'm sure it's happened to you as well, Lacey. I definitely know I've worked on products where it's like, okay, everybody has it. I mean, believe it or not, Tanqueray became one of those products for a while. Tanqueray, like nobody wanted to touch it because remember when everybody was just into craft brands and it was just all about the local brand down the street and the market. So if you were a big company, nobody wanted. So to try to convince them again that like Tanqueray was a good gin, believe it or not, became like a goal. And Angus Winchester actually did an amazing job of convincing getting everybody drinking Tanqueray again. They have so much to thank to him, but it is a part of our job, right? Sometimes, people forget they have our brand. It's on the back bar. It's a good product. You feel proud of it, but they just, for what reason or not, one reason or another, they just kind of forgot about it. So what do you do? What are some things that you have done to get people inspired about your brand?
Well, flag waving, of course, to be there and be present, it's one of the most important things. Make them understand the company still exists. It's still there. We're still doing.
Yeah.
We are alive, and there's a person, and most of the time, it's very effective. These companies, like her company, my company, could pay like millions, and for billboards and TV ads, wherever. They prefer to spend the money on a person going in the premises and talking about it. And this is a great message, the human touch, and make them understand the versatility and sharing experience. We have to always understand, and these people are doing a great job. But the perception of the world is from the square meter bar that they have. We are a wind of information coming from the next door sometimes, or the next continent. So it's like this is that what we bring in. We bring in freshness. We bring in new information. And again, we bring them a new way of doing something, or refreshment, or just ideas. And this is it's really important. We are so used to do these type of things that don't matter anymore for us because it's our job every day. But think how important is this information, fresh information, updated information, exchange of information, share of information. Such an important thing.
No, it really is. I mean, Lacey, I don't know. I mean, your brand, have you experienced that when you go into the market sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes for sure. And actually, I think that Nicola brings up such great points, but I think from hearing him talk, made me realize that my approach and my thinking on that is maybe actually opposite, which is that I'm not trying to update any information. I'm trying to keep the information exactly the same so that everyone gets the same information, right? So building up that level of knowledge across the board and that there's no sort of gaps in that. But also, the approach of, if I know that a bottle is sitting on the back bar and it's gathering dust, my approach is less about okay, how do we convince the bartender to pick up that bottle, but more about how do we drive consumers into this bar so that they're asking for it, right? So just to your billboard point, it made me realize we had a billboard in Brooklyn, a big Monkey 47 mural, I think last summer or something, and it went around to all the bars around that mural, and I was like, if you don't have Monkey 47, you're going to want to have Monkey 47 because there's something that's like, you know, taking up an entire wall outside, and you're going to miss the opportunity to sell based on, it's like this giant thing that people are taking photos in front of. So having the billboards, having the social media presence, the paid ads, these things, something like for us is the Monkey 47 Distiller's Cut, you know, that like sets people on fire, that drives people to bars and restaurants and liquor stores. And so that's a little bit also for me is, you know, is it's less about maybe trying to convince a one bar team or one bartender or necessarily focusing on that sort of precious relationship, but instead more about how can we convince the masses? How can we change public opinion? How can we change public trends so that they're going in and pulling through that product? Because that to me also inspires the bartender. So it's a little bit, you know, two birds with one hand there.
No, it also I was gonna say, just to build on your point a second, it's also really big for the off-premise accounts, because dealing with a liquor store, as we know, it's a lot different, right? The relationship's a lot different. It's depending on their interaction. If you're in a craft store, you can actually have that relationship. They'll taste the product, but a lot of them are just the local guy. It's just a business for them. They don't drink. It's just a product, and it's like, what can you do for me, or what is the brand doing? And by using that, the advertisement or the mural or the social media, it's like, this is what we're doing right now, right around your store.
Mm-hmm.
This is happening. If you're not carrying this product right now, you're missing out. Like, we were advertising down the street. Here it is. People see that every day. They probably, you know, it's going to inspire them if they see it here, and then they come in here and oh, I just saw that. I should get that. I said, people are so driven by that. And that has really helped. I know I worked with Don Julio. We actually created a neighbor by neighborhood campaign where they would put a billboard up, and then our job was to target all the audience, all the bars and all the off-premise accounts around that billboard. Mm-hmm. And just drive them. See, if this is what we're doing. This is the ad, and it worked very, very well. It was like a really targeted approach.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
Just on Elaine's point about like liquor stores, you know, one thing that I'll also do is encourage the liquor store to be posting about Monkey 47 on their own personal page. Mm-hmm. So, do you have Monkey 47? Is it sitting on your shelves, or do you have a Distiller's Cut and you don't know why it's not moving? Have you posted anything about it on social media? Here's a list of assets. Here's photos, here's branded material, here's quotes, here's all this stuff. And it's basically a pre-made post for you. Share it on your social media and watch people come in. You know, that's something that has been really successful for me too, is really equipping them with tools to drive people to their own establishment. Sorry, go ahead, Nicola.
Yeah, I would just say that, I mean, getting your point, the fact that if we want to elevate that on a different level is to really know what is good for your brand, that is effective, you know, and has a different like need, in a way that if you have a product that's being known in the market for just being a bartender shop, and you actually want to convince the people what is happening around the world, is actually that I just given a 5-star and Michelin star restaurant, is an aperitif with soda and olives. The vermouth is not only an ingredient, but it's a product. So there are so many things you have to do. And of course, supporting the brand with billboard. We did in San Francisco, where like for San Francisco supports Fernet Branca and vice versa, wherever, you know, we have this type of communication. Our company was built on communication. We were the first Italian company to do like advertising campaign directly to every market. So we know the value of that, but we also know the value of the liquid to lips. And so like getting in there and getting people like very connected. For example, for liquor store, we did something that was amazing. It works, like, as you said, providing with material for the website, but also we were doing like a live streaming from that liquor store, talking to their customer via like their web page or Instagram page or Facebook page. That was, it works so much. I did it like, I started out doing that. There are a few like liquor store that had like a channel where we're talking about products. So I was like showcasing Fernet Branca product and Cafe Borghetti from that channel. So
is
like,
it something from this year, or is like you did it before?
I did it like 4 years ago. The last time, 3 years, last time I was in Australia. I started 4 years ago, then I did it again, and then that thing happened to be like really, really cool within the US, and now that came back to be very useful during that lockdown moment, because we were doing exactly the same in platform that were like providing like takeaway or delivery products. So I was doing like going on the Instagram page, and I was presenting Fernet Branca from their Instagram page to their consumer, that customer, to that client. And I did now, like a couple of months ago, with a big chain of off-premise in the US that had actually, I think they had, I don't know, 500 accounts. And there were one day there were like 1,000 people connected just to talk about Fernet Branca and Antica, how to make a Manhattan. So like this type of things. But because it's me, okay, in a way that I do this job the best way possible, because I do it in the way I like it, the way I approach it. You know, I wouldn't be able to do it in any different way. I like the human touch. I like the approach. I like shaking hands. I like to be there. But I have to have clear in my head what is my mission. And this is to point to the next question. I think this is what helps me the most.
Yeah, no, we'll talk about that. I will, because Donald, hi Donald, has gone on here, and to Lacey's point about social media content. And Donald, if you're listening, Canva is a great website to use to create great social media ads, Instagram, things like that. It's a great program. But also to that point, this year, just staying a little bit on the off-premise, another thing that I've seen very successful that I have helped brands with is finding accounts that have a very big mailing list that, you know, basically doing tastings via Zoom. So they are promoting the tasting. I'm writing up the entire content of what that tasting is going to be with the Zoom link. I provide all that information to them, provide the social media thing. They send it out to their customers. And then they either send out the minis, and we talked about this with Don Venegas as well. He's doing a lot of these. The off-premise account then sends out minis to the people who have signed up. So the tasting is free. I think there's a small fee for the minis. They send out the minis to the clients so they can all do a tasting along with Dom. And he's doing it via, you know, just via Zoom. But you have to do all the work for the account. And what they're seeing, and you're not required to purchase anything, but what they are seeing is it is driving sales, because basically they'll also offer a discount for the product, whatever it is. So if you buy, you know, tune into the Zoom and you buy the small tasting kit, it's like basically the shipping fee. You can get a discount on this product. And they'll run that discount for like a week, you know, a week or two. And from the Zoom, they're getting sales. So this has become like the new era, right? Of, you know, the pandemic has definitely caused us all to change some ways of working, but some of these are quite effective because you can work with lots of liquor stores in 1 week rather than just doing one a day. You know, you could actually do two. Gemma, before she had her baby, Gemma Cole, she was doing 3 or 4 of these a day sometimes. She was doing them with corporations, but she could also do them with liquor stores. So all different ways we can support different accounts. Everyone lends an excuse to drink. That is very true.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was great because, you know, you find yourself like talking to bartender, expert mixologist, and the day after you're talking with a housewife. Eyes. Yeah, and it's inspiring because, you know, they're doing the tasting session, they're doing shot of Fernet Branca and drinking a Negroni, they're getting drunk in front of you, and then cheering, and then, you know, okay, so okay, I'm you know, in a way that I evaluate my job again, you know, start seeing different things, you know. And you know what? When you talk with customers, when you talk with consumer, you are kind of like cleaning all the message to the essential of the brand itself. To take it off all the things around, because you're just thinking about the essential of the brand. And this is a lesson. It's a great lesson. You talk about like the values, you talk about the quality. It's not nothing else, no substratos on top of it. Just like the basic main message. And it's great. It's a great lesson to summarize that.
It really is. It takes away all the stuff people thought about your brand, and then you see them drinking it and you're like, oh, exactly. That's what you think. Like
exactly, you know, and you say that, you by the day before you were arguing because Antica formula has a hint of vanilla and is not matching the hint of like macadamia nuts of that bourbon whiskey coming from whatever. And then you are arguing with that, and then the day after you're talking with a housewife and say, you know, Branca Menta was created for Maria Callas and she was an opera singer. She falls in love. That's it. That's it. She's not arguing anything else. That's what she needs.
That's awesome.
This is, the thing is, when I do seminars, for example, I always say to bartenders and to the seminars around the world, I say, guys, I can spend hours on telling you what are the process of distilling our herbs and spices, where they're coming from, and how many alcohol an hour, how many milligrams on wormwood, whatever. Is your customer really into that? Is this what they really care about? Is your personal thing? We can okay, we talk about tonight. You buy me like 25 chicken wings, and I'll speak all night about whatever you want.
Totally.
Yeah, let's talk about what is your customer, what your consumer want. And this is not for sure to know how many botanicals or how many milligrams or whatever. They want to know one thing: why is the product in front of me now? What is the brand going to give me now to me? Why did you choose this liquid for this drink for me now? Simple as that.
When I do gin educationals, I don't include any dates because I'm like, I don't ever want to sit at your bar and have you rattle off some old dates to me. So I include stories because I just don't think it's fun or interesting or I mean, I don't think that drinking always has to be fun, but I don't ever want it to be boring. So, I'm like, my goal is to give you really awesome sound bites that you can share with people who sit at your bar, whether they love gin or they hate gin, that will make them want to buy gin. That's my goal, is that I'm going to tell you a story and you can tell that to someone else, which will in turn get them to buy something from you and tip you, and you can go home and pay your bills. And like, that is the goal. That's the win right there.
That is definitely, I think that is the overall win. And drinking, I think, should always be fun.
Yes, it is.
Too serious. Okay, so on that note, well, not I guess on a different note, we're going to jump to Nicole. When we spoke, you talked about, you have a bunch of brand ambassadors that kind of work underneath you. Not you don't you manage them. They don't work underneath you, but you kind of you're their leader, their inspirational leader.
Yeah, I was the first of this piece. So
So sometimes people, they have really tough goals, and sometimes they can get very down because they didn't hit their goals. So I thought you had a really great way, and I think this is an important lesson for most people, like how to manage people and to inspire them to want to just, get out of their funk and just go for it. So
my situation is like kind of, very peculiar on that side, because I select them all. We have like 14 like portfolio manager in the US, like more or less, and then we have 4 guys in the South America. And then we have 7 people around Europe plus 4 people in Italy. And I'm kind of like the guy in charge of selecting these people, but also train them and be their mentor. Some of them are paid by our distributors, for example. And so they are, we pay them with the AMP and they're managed by them, but in a way they are over me. The Italian ones are owned by Branca and so forth. But, and you go, is it normal, like during the life cycle of these people? Because people think that brand ambassador life is fun, is cool. It is, but you're by yourself all the time. You are yourself by your time, and your company is far away. The company is far away. So one of my things is, first of all, is not to make them feel far away, to make them feel close. So the present, of course. And this is, one of the things. The other thing is that, these people normally have like a deployment of attention, because the goals, because of market and so forth. And sometimes, it's hard, the job. So the way I motivate them, for me, is only one way, is to remind them why I choose them. They have to have clear in their head all the time why they are there. It's not because, it's not because I need to sell. What is the reason why I choose you? Make clear that in your head every day, because of your skills, because of your network, because of the way you're approaching the market, so many things. And this is, this is what brings them up again. People have to have clear in their head what is the role. They have to have clear what are the goals, and those goals have to be achievable. But on top of all, they have to know who are they and why we choose them. Because, they feel if they feel they can be replaceable anytime, they're not motivated at all.
Oh, it's such a good point. Such a good.
So this is like because this is, I manage on this level. I don't check on their KPIs or goals or budget. I help them to reach those. Of course, I always give them like tips and tricks on how to do it. and basic tricks, or help them like to generate how. And I also help the distributor to create KPIs for hiring new brand ambassador when the time comes, because most of the time I'm the brand ambassador of some countries that cannot afford the brand ambassador, so I'm the brand ambassador until the generates, of course, until the market generates enough liters so we can actually sustain brand ambassador. We are a company that is based the life on sales of bottles. Simple as that. So for us, to selling bottle at the right price and creating the right profit and the right resources is to maintain the life of the company alive.
Yeah.
Simple as that. On that company are based families, because we are a family-owned company, but we are a company made by families. So it's like really sustainability of the brand and the market is very important, So this is what we do. But having said that, my role on top of them is to remind them they are human beings. They are beautiful humans, and they are all different. And just remember, stop and think why I choose you upon maybe other 20 people in their market.
No, I think that's such a great story, because I've definitely had, as you said, it's a lonely role. And Lacey, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. It is a lonely role. You're out there on your own. Sometimes you're just working. You might even talk to your manager. I used to talk to my manager once a month, maybe. I just kind of be doing my thing. And, it can be disheartening when you're killing yourself and you're out there and you're doing great stuff and you're achieving sales, and then nobody seems, and you've let them know, you sent all the reports, you've done all the stuff, and nobody's read them. Like, you're just kind of doing your thing. And and having somebody acknowledge the fact that, hey, I chose you and we see what you're doing and you're doing a great job, and don't think it's not noticed and all that stuff. It's important. It is important to let people know that, to give them that encouragement, especially when they're feeling down, and to see, just to see some of the things that they have achieved. Because as I said, I definitely have had managers. I used to go to my reviews once a year, and my manager lately would be like, yeah, you're doing a great job. Okay, anything else? No, that's it.
One day a guy, like a brand ambassador I was going around with, he told me, so, but you are traveling all over the world, don't you have your own budget, your own AMP to spend? I say, yes, I've got you.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is my AMP. It's all you. I have a person, rather than $1,000 or €1,000 or 1,000 of yen to buy a cocktail list in a bar. I've got you that can help you to go through that.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I choose you. And Lacey, I know
I choose you.
Yeah, exactly. I choose you. You work really closely with your manager, and was also the brand manager of the team. Tell us about that relationship and why it works.
Well, I think, Monkey 47 is a really small brand. And so, and which is awesome, because there's a lot of room to build something when you have, a smaller brand. And so I work with the brand lead on Monkey 47, and we talk every week. And, we are sharing with each other what we're doing, what our goals are, what we have coming down the pike in terms of projects. And, it never feels like micromanaging either, because we both have very different skill sets and we both have a very different eye for things. And so, there's never a micromanaging aspect. It's always just kind of a how are you doing with this? And, do you want me to look this over? And let's, put this on the agenda. We're going to talk about X, Y, and Z. And the other thing is, they're constantly giving me new skills. They're constantly giving me new tools to use. And it's a really safe place to fail. And it's a really safe place to be like, hey, I made a draft of this email because I don't know if this is right. So can you read it? And then they have a totally different, very business forward skill set from mine. So, an example is, someone recently reached out to us about doing a big event. And she was like, can you follow up with this and figure out what it is that they want, and let's get to the root of this big event. And she was like, use the who, what, why sort of structure. And instead of just kind of, me calling this person and saying what do you need, or what is it that you want, or why do you think this will work? I got to really get this other person to start thinking about how they could see this big event working for their market or for their sales or for their sales reps. And so, it's a really safe place, like I said, to not know the answers and to not have all the answers.
Right.
So yeah, it's like I had a little bit of a different tone in my conversation with this person. And before I sent it to them, I sent it to my boss and it was just like, this is my first stab at this. This is my draft. What do you think? So that's my working relationship with her, is that she's always trying to level me up so that I'm not, quote unquote, just a brand ambassador, right? That I can do many other things, and those things, may have nothing to do with the brand sometimes too, right? I mean, they do, on the side, but it's like, she helped me develop my LinkedIn because she's like, this is going to be really important also for Monkey 47. And how many people have reached out to me about doing events with them or for them with Monkey 47 because of my LinkedIn. So she always is constantly helping me with things that are not just directly in front of her eyes, which is really cool.
Investing as a manager, I've been a manager of people, and investing in your team is amazing. Like giving them the education they need, giving them support beyond the brand. Sometimes just being an ear to talk to, like you might have something going on in your life and it's like, hey, I have this, I'm just letting like the next being able to be open and be like, hey, next 2 weeks, like, something happened, it's really kind of dramatic for you and it might be kind of mentally tiresome, and to be able to have that honest conversation, like, I know we have a lot of stuff going on. I'm just letting I'm not 100% here. I have a lot of stuff going on, but I'm letting you know, can I have help? Is there a way to somebody else that can support me or whatever, because I might need a little double checking. I might need a little because I'm not here, and feeling you can do that, because most people are like, I wouldn't tell my boss that. They'd probably, and you're not supposed to bring your personal things to work. But I think a brand ambassador relationship, and if you have a good manager, obviously you have to keep it professional, but being able to be a little vulnerable sometimes is really important.
Yeah, but also as Leslie said, like the fact that giving you skills is so important. She says something so important. The opportunity to of giving you new skills, and also like a fertilized ground where to make mistakes. This is such a great point that you made. Giving the opportunity to do the job they pay for and be good at, but also be able to have like an area where I can explore and make mistakes, because you grow through mistakes.
Yeah, being vulnerable is not a bad thing when you have a safe environment to be vulnerable, right? So that vulnerability actually yields positivity. It yields results. It yields growth when you have an environment where vulnerability is not a bad thing. It's like, oh, you are unsure, or oh, you don't know this thing, or oh, you need help. Great, let's do it. And then now you have that, right? Now you have that new skill. So
yeah, it is a skill set. But again, and Nicola, it is an important thing. Like I remember Diageo one time got me a professional coach. It was amazing. This woman worked with like CEOs and executives, and they for a week, I worked with this woman one-on-one, teaching me how to be a better presenter. And, she gave me homework. She gave me, which I always found really funny, I don't know if it was insulting or not, an etiquette book. I was like, wow. I guess my manners are not up to par that the company feels I need an etiquette book. But I was grateful. I took the hint in stride. I was like, I'm going to read this.
I think that more people should ask for stuff like that, because I think, especially as a brand ambassador, I'll speak for myself, but I think that, for so long, I was so focused on like, what can I do for the brand? What can I do for the brand? And growing, and like giving. And in order for me to give better and to give more, I also need that investment back in me. So, asking for things like, can you train me on this new program? Will you give me, the coach that you talked about, or like a media training, or like, I want you to invest in me in these additional skills, because I'm then going to take those new skills and I'm going to put them directly to use in this market. And like, we're going to see that growth. So I wish that more people would ask for stuff like that, so that they don't experience that fatigue and that burnout. And we've not talked about this, and I know it's a whole other like thing. We'll have to do this for part 3, but for me, I really, really experienced a big shift in my my health and wellness, my well-being, when I became a brand ambassador. I went from working behind a bar for 8 to 12 hours a night, right? Which is not healthy to do that. I'm not saying that's great, right? And moving around on my feet all the time, and barely eating, like shoving food in my mouth over the garbage can, right? Not saying that's great, but that was kind of where I was coming from, to sitting in front of a computer all day and then going, oh, now I need to go out and eat and drink all night.
Yep.
And so I really struggled with this, how do I make time for myself and my own health, because I was so afraid of, not always being on for the brand. And there are things that I've been able to learn over the last 4 years that, have helped me reclaim my health, reclaim my time. And it gets even harder when you're traveling. It's even harder when you're staying in a hotel 5 nights a week and you have 36 to 48 hours to spend at home. And it's like just enough time to do laundry, repack, and hang out with your person, or clean your apartment or something. Right. So, so that was a real learning curve for me. And I wish more people talked about that.
No, taking care of yourself is really important. This matter. Job also, because you are sending a precise message to the people you're facing every day. We have to remember that we are in front of people every day. We are not just behind a computer, behind laptop, but then we are in front of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and being in front of people is exhausting. When you have to be when you have to be on and presenting, it can be. I was doing distributor presentations. Literally, I was on a tour, and sometimes the presentation was 4 hours long. Let me tell you, it was a 4-hour program. So I was the person presenting for 4 hours. And then sometimes I'd have to do 2 in a day. And by the time the next day, I was just, and then they want me to go to, bars and whatever at night. And by the time by the time the next day came, I was like, I could barely get out of, I was so tired. Get out of bed.
We are troopers.
Yeah. Even your voice, I'll get voice fatigue,
Oh, yeah.
And I've been in bars where I have to scream all night long, and nothing compares to doing a day full of presentations, and I
have nodules on my vocal cords. I have nodules. I have speech. I had to go to speech therapy. But you're right. This could be, and actually, we will make a part 3, and maybe I'll bring a few more people. I can have up.
On the role of what we do in a way, what we should do. We did a few months ago in academy, and I wanted to have a part of the program of the Bar Academy. I actually last year I sent a physiotherapist around the bars in Milano to study how bartenders were working on the posture and the way they were shaking, and we did a 3 months course for bartender on to taking care of themselves, the way they work it. So it's we have that we were teaching them how to shake better, what's happening to your shoulder, to your elbow, and how should you sleep or should be eating according to the time. So this part of the job, and we should do it too, because this is really
brand ambassadors
take care. Your job we need it because we have to be on the spot. On the motivational point of view, I just want to share a story with you that was I think it summarized everything in a way which is our role.
We're gonna have to wrap it up. Because we're getting
no. Just because I was thinking about it, I
can talk to you forever.
It is is emblematic in a way that I was with a brand ambassador one day. He was taking me to the new market. He was hitting that time. He told me, please don't get disappointed if we get in a bar and don't have our products. I said, yes, don't worry. I'll get disappointed if when we leave, still don't have our products. Thanks God there are bars out there. Our products yet. Mm-hmm. This is their market. This is really we have to be there for even for their reason.
It's why brand ambassadors exist, and they will continue to.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. But if we, how is pressure as a pressure releaser, making them feel have a different point of view of the market. Mm-hmm. No, again, it's not a problem. It's a great opportunity. They don't have it,
Right.
And let's see if when we leave, still don't have them. I hope not.
Now I get your point. Yeah.
For them was a big pressure because they were seeing numbers and say, "Oh Jesus, out of 300 accounts, there are 150 don't have them." I say, "Fantastic! You have 150 accounts to go to."
Yeah. Yeah, that is a good manager way of looking at it. Just look at it as an opportunity rather than a failure, because it is really stressful. It's a lot of it's one of the reasons why I left Diageo eventually. It's because I was burnt out. I felt uninspired. I was burnt out. I didn't feel like my job really mattered. I didn't feel like I was challenged anymore. And I tried. I appealed to people. I was like, I would like to do this. I would like to try to do this. And it seemed to just fall on deaf ears. And eventually I was like, okay. And a new job got presented to me. And I was like, after 50, I was there for 17 years.
Jeez.
And I left, and it was probably the most disappointing leave of a guy. I was like, nobody seemed to care. I was like, okay. And it wasn't until afterwards. It's very funny. Like a lot of those people are my clients now, a lot of my old Diageo folks. And they're like, oh, you were so upset when you left. I was like, not one person reached out to me.
Yeah.
I was like, really? I was like, so it was this weird thing. So it's like, that's bad management. At the end of the day, it's just bad management.
True.
Like,
feedback is all about feedbacks.
Yeah. And
it's all about the power of the feedback is an amazing thing.
Yeah. And just taking advantage that you think a person knows. And it's like, sometimes you just
exactly.
You do
exactly. Exactly. And feedback on every level. You know, I give feedback to my accounts. I give feedback to my colleagues. This is last time I told you, I give feedbacks to the people on the production line,
which is amazing.
You know,
everybody
feedback is so important. Everybody needs them. I think we should have a podcast rather than just StreamYard. All three of us having like a one week per day podcast where we talk about everything of
everything going on the brand ambassador.
What about family? You know, how hard is to work like far away from your home, without seeing your family? How do you cope with that? I have a son. You know, I miss my son. I miss my family, my friends. I'm traveling by myself. I'm not on holiday. You know what I mean? I'm not on holiday. I'm traveling. Lucky. I'm the really, really lucky person because, you know, my company is investing on experience, and I always appreciate that. I see places. I'm lucky that I don't work in the basement on the dark. I'm working on bars and restaurants, and hotels. I have great food and everything. But by myself, I'm not on holiday. I'm always in business.
Lacey's had to leave for 6 weeks on the road from her wife.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the airplane upgrades are few and far between. You know, they don't happen as often as I'd like.
No.
Yeah. I will say on that note, I will say that was the one positive thing when I worked on Ciroc, because I was the only one really kind of working, and I knew the brand inside and out. The brand team was really supportive of me, and I just had my daughter, and she was 1 or 2 years old. So I made it like and Lacey, you were talking about asking for things. I said, I have no problem going. I was like Tails for the first time. It was like when Tails was just starting. I was like, I need to bring my daughter with me, and I need to bring a sitter. I'm like, there's no other way I can go. Like, I was like a single mom in a marriage, and I was like, this is my ex-husband. And I was like, I need to bring my daughter. And they would allow me to bring my daughter, my babysitter, and they would get another room and they would pay for it. And I did that a lot. Like, I brought her.
Yeah, it happened to me. My company sent me for 3 months in UK. We had a problem with the distributor there. So my company said, okay, you have to be in the field. You know, there's no way one day we're going to solve that. I want you to be in the field for 3 months. And they told me, you rent a house and you take your family there. So I was in UK, in London, with 3 months with my ex-wife, my son, and just living there. So I was okay because I knew that at the end of the day, I was coming back to my apartment and my son was there. I was drunk, of course, because I had martinis. Still, I will say that. But of course, that was just a chance. You know, sometimes I travel for 25 days in Australia, or like 21 days in China, or maybe a month and a half in the US. Of course, I cannot take my family because I'm moving so much. It would be impossible. I found a very good way to cope with that that I want to share with you is the fact that I'm including on my speech my family and my people and people that I know. Every time I mention something, I always contextualize on my personal experience, and I'm mentioning my son. I'm mentioning what is the relationship with it. Of course, contextual. I'll just say my son his name is Lorenzo. I kind of make comparison and then try to bring different exchange, and that helps me to keep them with me and talk about them. It helps, and also it gives a good message out there that you are a person, you are a personal life. Where you're, cannot be all night having shots because at 3 o'clock in the morning you have to call your son. It's 8 o'clock. He has to go to school. That
is a really, really great point. Lacey, do you ever talk about your wife when you're on the road?
You know, it's a little bit different when you're gay because
Uh,
you just don't know who you're working with. And so when I'm
Mm.
spending all day in a car with someone, um, I don't, it's just a little bit different. And I know some people will say like, oh, that's not a problem and it's fine. And like, you shouldn't worry about it. It's like, you know, we really had like a pretty messed up president for the last 4 years. And like when I would be working in some smaller towns with people who, you know, maybe weren't as open-minded, I didn't want to share about my life. And in fact, you know, if I did talk about while we were engaged, if I did talk about my partner, I would just automatically say wife, because if I said fiance, they would say, what does he do? Oh, and where does he live? And so then I had to come out. So
Yeah.
not only did and then I had to sit there and listen to them go, oh, that's cool, that's totally cool, that's cool with me. And I'm just like, this is
Please
so
don't
weird.
patronize
Like,
me.
why can't this?
Yes.
So it, you know, depends.
sucks.
It just really depends. I really have to read the room, and that's a choice that I make. So
Yeah.
you know, some people will really kind of like, you know, fully out themselves, but that's kind of a way for me of preserving the, like, you know, environment that I have in my personal life, which is that sometimes I don't always bring it out, but when I find people I can talk about it with, it's really awesome and we have a great time. So so yeah, that's a little bit different for me. I don't know if that quite makes sense, but
No, I get it, and I'm sorry. That's definitely
No, but this is I got your point. My point was like I use my son, but I kind of in a way I'm trying to take I'm trying most of the time to leave the marketing presentation out of my speech and really talk about my experience. And sometimes it could be my previous travel, could be something that happened to me when I was young, a relationship with my father. You know, I'm trying to give it like a really like a
personalized, yeah,
personalized and normalized sometimes, you know, this is what I needed. This is what I really needed to do because, you know, I talk for 4 hours. You know, my speech, when you have like 16 brands, when you have 16 products, you know, you're hitting the market is 4 hours because you and I, there are 4 hours go away. You have to really find the motivation. You have to really find things and to make it, and you do like 2 in a day, as you know. You know, and these people are expecting from you the same energy that you had like in the beginning of the trip 16 days before when you were in Seattle, and then you are in Rochester, you know, 21 days later, and they're expecting the same energy, the same passion, and they deserve it. That's the thing.
It is hard.
They deserve it because they take their time to be there and to spend 4 hours of their life to listen to you.
No,
nobody
absolutely.
force them.
I'm gonna. I was gonna say it is. No, it is. Everything about the job. Most people don't realize it. It is hard. It is hard to be away from your family. It's hard to be. Have the energy, had to stay healthy, and to really bring it every single day. And I don't think you know, some people appreciate it. They're like, oh, you know, all you had to do is a presentation. I'm like, every time I do a presentation, it takes a lot out of me. It's a mental thing, and to miss my daughter or my husband, or not to be able to talk about and be uncomfortable being able to talk about the people you care about is also exhausting. So all those things can definitely have a mental can be mentally weary on you. And so I think I'm
not and also not doing it in Italian. 95% of my time.
Exactly.
That's a great point. Yeah, when English is your second language, absolutely. I think that's.
But I know, but I think like it is. I mean, I was making a joke, but I think like also to change like a country, changing like a state.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference on your mood. People are different culture. You know, this is something like.
Oh yeah.
It's a cultural thing. You know, you have to be careful what you say, how you relate it. I go to California, I make certain jokes. I might go to, I don't know, to Nashville. I cannot make the same jokes. I don't know. You know, I go to Greece, I make some jokes. You know, it's really
like, the skill set you have that you have to have as a brand ambassador. You need to be amenable to the atmosphere that you are in, the crowd that you're in. It is part of the skill set. It's like you need to be able to read your audience always, and to know what is, you know, how to connect with them in the right way. And I think that is, I think most people, and I'm hoping, if people watch these episodes and brand managers watch it, to understand the complexities of the role. It is such a complex role, and the person that does it has to have so many different skill sets that the average Joe, like just doing one job, doesn't have to have. So
I can't be a barman anymore.
Yeah.
Honestly, I see those guys. I admire them for creating all the time and be able to deal with so many different companies, because it's a job also for them to be able to keep a good relationship with all the brands out there.
Yeah.
And then do the job.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not saying bartenders have the same, and bartenders.
Jesus, I can't do that. I used to do it.
Discount
Can't do it anymore.
Job. I was just saying, as the brand ambassador, bartenders have a whole nother role. I can't remember anything, so I could never be able to or waiters. I can never be a waiter because I can't remember orders. And my shorthand is terrible. So I know
floor tender.
I would not succeed at.
He's a floor tender.
Yeah, I would not be good at it. So, all right. So, unfortunately, we're going to wrap it up now, because this is an amazing conversation, and I think the three of us could keep talking. We have so many great references.
Oh, yes, for sure.
People who, I know we have not people who have tuned in. Thank you so much. I know people watch a lot of these episodes afterwards, and we've come up with so many great points, from how to sell it in, how to support our accounts, how to work with our distributors, to how to travel and stay, we talked a little bit about how to be healthy, and many other points. So I hope everybody who's watching got a lot out of it. You two, Lacey and Nicola, thank you so much for doing this again. Well, not again, just round two of the special.
Thanks for the opportunity. There was a bonus track.
On Friday afternoons. And I look forward, we'll definitely plan in the future a round 3.
Great. Good.
All yours.
All right.
Good to see you both again. Have a
wonderful weekend. Hope to see you soon, guys. Really hope to.
Have a great weekend.
Okay, you too. Ciao.